Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon with Brandon Wound Pickups.
Tony Dudzik, a.k.a. Pick Guardian.
Me, Todd Novak, a.k.a. Todd Novak.
Yeah.
And we've got on the line a super special guest, and his name is...
Zach Broyles from Mythos Pedals.
Yeah.
Everybody's from something except me.
Hey, man, you're the podcast, brother.
That's right.
You run it.
Yeah. So I'm there.
You're the head
I'm
pod.
all that and then
That's
some.
right.
I'm tall, dark, and handsome. Anyways. Okay, so anyways, yes, you heard that right. That is Zach Broyles from Mythos Pedals. And Mythos is kind of burning up the scene right now. And there's an awful lot of press, whatever you might call it. Anyways, so I saw some cool stuff on the internet and dug into it a little bit. Contacted Zach. We had a couple chats, and here he is. And
Here
I'm
I am.
so excited. And you are calling from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Ah, yes. That's the heart of music of the world right now, it feels like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it has been
And
for a long
it's
time.
every kind of music, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel it's much more universal now.
Yeah.
There's a certain cool that Nashville has that like nothing else has.
There's a lot of denim in every genre. A lot of denim.
Yeah, that is true, and a lot more hairspray too.
Oh, yeah.
I think
a lot of
it feels
pop,
like
pomade kind of.
Yeah. So let's get into this so we can start talking to him about things that matter. Oh wait! Oh my gosh! I almost forgot. Everybody out there, we just signed on to Patreon.
Oh.
And yeah, ooh is right. So
Yeah.
listen, I'll put a little thing at the end to make it all official and stuff. But please go check out our Patreon page, and any support you can offer, we will gladly receive. And there are some really cool gifts, tiered, because that's the way you have to do it. On Patreon, it's like, you for this much a month, blah, blah, blah. You get this and that and the other thing. And I worked really hard to try to put together some cool packages. So this thing doesn't pay for itself. Well, no, it actually has paid for itself for like the last year and a half. I've paid for itself the last year and a half. And I got to start recouping something because... all the shirts and stickers and equipment and everything and travel, that all comes, that's out of our pocket, and I'm happy to do it. And if I don't get a penny from anybody, I'm still going to do it. But man, it would be a nice big hug for me, I tell you that. And that would enable us to do a lot of extra cool things. It's not a lining, it's not a pocket lining thing that, for sure, at least right now. If it becomes that would be amazing. We just want to be able to continue to do great stuff, and that's it. So yeah, Patreon. Go check it out, and I'll put another card at the end. Business. Anyways,
Patreon.
yeah. Okay. So Tony,
Yes, I am.
tell me what's going on this week.
This week, I got word that my Rickenbacker 650 basket case has been finished and is ready to ship back to me.
Yay!
My good friends over at MJT Custom Guitar Finish Work over in Missouri, as they say there. Mm-hmm. I bought this. It's a Rickenbacker 650. It's a I don't know. It's an okay guitar. It's the Cresting Wave one, but
Wait. 650 Cresting Wave. Explain.
well, the top horn looks like a Cresting Wave
Aha.
on the guitar.
So it's not the double.
No. I have a few of those already.
It's
okay.
a wave.
I've got a feel. Listen. Okay.
But this one was a basket case. I bought it primarily for the case and the bridge. And it was cheap enough that I figured if any of the other parts...
So you have some wordplay going on, which I know you like, and I appreciate that. was when you're saying it's a basket case, it was like a hunk of junk and you needed help?
Well, it had a broken off neck.
Oh man,
There it is.
Oh, yeah, don't mind that.
Yeah, it's all good. So
ball bearings will
so I
fix
got
that.
it in, and luckily no one had. The guy that I bought it from said that it had been glued back in place, but there was no evidence of glue, which was a good thing because I'd much rather work with something that hasn't been touched. So I got it and took it apart, took off the bits and pieces that I wanted, and decided that I could try to fix this. And it was a good clean break. I was able to glue it back on, sand off, put in some extra walnut where some pieces were missing, cleaned it all up, sent it over to MJT, and I'm having it refinished in ocean turquoise. And cool. I have a gold pick guard for it, so it's going to look like a late 50s Rickenbacker color scheme.
I like gold.
Gold is good.
I'm into gold.
So hopefully that should hit this coming week. I have all the bits and pieces ready to go back together, and I will take a picture.
Throw some pictures up there on the Facebook group, will you?
Yeah, I will do that. So that's what's new and big in my world this week.
Awesome. Let's ask Zach. What are you doing, man?
Okay. My favorite guitars are Les Pauls. And my favorite Les Paul of them all is the Pearly Gates, which was Billy Gibbons, or is Billy Gibbons 59, Les Paul. And working at Carter Vintage Guitars, by the way, I work at Carter Vintage Guitars, for those that don't know, in addition to making pedals, I get to meet a lot of cool people. And one of the guys that I've met is Tom Murphy, who, for those that don't know, is probably the preeminent Les Paul painter.
He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the finished guy. He's really good.
He's the guy.
If he signs your thing, it's valuable.
Well, let's be clear.
That's
signs
right.
your guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Specific.
But we had like a Pearly Gates come into the shop, and one of the replicas from like 2009, the custom shop made, and I saw it. It wasn't my favorite guitar. Like the neck wasn't too good. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just didn't click with me. But
it wasn't shaped
finish,
right. You didn't like the way it felt.
Yeah, it had a lot of shoulder, but it was thin. It was kind of a strange shape. So I just didn't click with it. But I have a 2014 R9 that's in washed cherry, so it's like it's not clownburst, but it's a bright sunburst finish. And I was talking to Tom because he was in the shop, and I was like, man, I want to get my R9 painted like this, and he's like, I'll do it. So tomorrow I'm going to his shop.
Wow.
And I'm taking my R9, and we're gonna strip the top. He's gonna teach me how to strip the top, because that's all I'm repainting, and he's gonna refinish it like Pearly Gates. He's not gonna relic it or anything. He's just gonna paint it. But this guitar, my R9, is far and away one of the best Les Pauls I've ever played, and I've played a lot. And I'm super excited because it's going to be a great playing guitar, and it's going to look like my dream guitar because it's already got a flamey top, and this is just going to make it next level because Tom's work is just like, he can take something that looks like a plain top, and how he treats it makes it, all the flame jumps out, and it's crazy. So That's what's going on with me, and I'm super excited about it.
How much does it weigh?
My Les Paul?
Mm-hmm.
It's around 8.2 pounds.
Not bad.
No, it's not heavy at all. I got to cherry pick it.
That's nice. Usually the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s are around, 10 to 11 pounds.
Off.
They're just anchors.
Yeah,
so
and I think
it's nice to be able to have it strapped on all night long, and you don't have a sore shoulder the next day.
Right. But I think that's a big misconception with a lot of people. They think heavy Les Pauls are the ones that have all the sustain. But man, I've played, I don't know, like 6 or 7 bursts working at Carter, and the light ones and all the vintage guitars I've played that were light sustained the most. And it may have just been a guitar thing, but I like lighter guitars personally, especially Les Pauls.
I'm right with you.
Yeah. Jared complains about that all the time.
It's got to be light.
And
That's
he's
why
a big
he gets
guy.
tiny little guitars.
A 10-pound guitar on him is like like a 6-pound guitar in anyone else.
And I still complain.
Yeah. So can you said something that I personally hadn't heard before, but I think I can envision, but I would love for you to elaborate on clown burst.
Clown burst. So in mid 1960, the die that they used on a 58 and 59 burst, it was aniline die, and with UV, it will fade. And the red dye would fade, and so that's why you have honey burst and tea burst and lemon burst, because that red would change and in a lot of instances fade away entirely. So what they did in mid 1960 is they changed the red to be a paint that wouldn't fade. So like Joe Walsh's 1960 burst that he so famously has is called a clown burst because it's really red and it's still red because that red is not going anywhere. So clown burst, it's really bright.
Yeah.
Red.
Okay. That's what I was kind of seeing that in my head, but I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. See, like I love learning stuff like that. Thanks for telling me, you guys, that sitting here going, oh, you already know that.
You know what the R9 stands for too, right?
No.
Can you elaborate?
Can you
elaborate for all of us listening?
I'm not a.
That's okay. That's why I brought it up. I mean, sometimes I forget what it means too. If you can elaborate to everybody listening to exactly.
So,
R9.
R means reissue, and 9 is 59. So 1959. So an R9 is a reissue of a 1959 model guitar.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
We are all in, well, except for you, we are all enlightened, and Tony and Jared. Okay, so I'm the idiot. Anyways, no. There's so much insider. What I love about talking with, whether it's, you two guys or whoever's on the phone, we've had people who have great knowledge about very specific things, and I love being able to tap into that. Like, Jared's got a really extensive knowledge of classic guitars, sort of classic era guitars. So does Tony, and
Tony knows more than me.
Well, we're in his house, so you better say that. And he just gave you a beer, so yeah.
He nodded yes because he knows
more than that.
He really does.
Yeah, but whether it's talking with somebody who's making pedals and they just go bang down the rabbit hole of electronic knowledge, I just love that. So I appreciate you sharing that out. Clearly, you have quite a bit of knowledge on these things as well.
Yeah. Working at Carter Vintage and being around Walter.
Yeah.
Is just he knows not everything, but damn near everything,
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Just because anything I need to know, I'd be like, hey, Walter, what's this? And he's like, they did that for X amount of years, and then they stopped, and this is why they did it, and this is why they stopped. And you're like, oh, okay.
I feel like he needs a shirt, and then it just goes, I know damn near everything.
Like that.
And at a certain age, it's cool to own that.
Yeah.
You have, if you're too young and you do this, that's not cool.
Right, people get a different,
yeah, right.
Look at it differently.
So awesome. Okay, Jared, hit me.
Okay, so it's going to start out funny because I'm going to say this.
Never say it's going to start
like
out funny.
how? Like, do I amuse you?
It's not going to be amusing. It's going to be, I meant to say boring instead of funny.
Yeah, by funny I mean boring.
I had a dentist appointment back home in Fremont, Ohio, which is a couple hours where I live now, because I like the dentist there. I like the office. I just can never like any dentists that live around here where I live. So I said, I'm going back to the good old dentist that I grew up with. Well, his son anyway. So I stopped by the guy.
It's an offspring. How is that the same thing?
He has the same last name.
You know why? I like him? And
They're both called Doctor.
They both hum to the music that's coming over
all right.
the radio.
Okay.
They both. Yeah,
You want to give them a little plug?
They have the same mannerisms.
Anyways, okay.
Dr. Peterson.
Yes.
So I stopped by the guitar shop I pretty much grew up around. And there's old, clunky, harmony jazz guitar. I think the model is Meteor. And it's a full-size, old, raggedy.
Like meteor, not
meteor.
meteor like your burger.
Right, meteor.
Okay, got it.
And it's got the what do you call it? The headstock it's all tortoiseshell, and it's engraved in harmony. So that I like that a lot. And then somebody had put DiMarzio humbuckers in it, the PAF and the double cream, which whatever. And so I thought,
just hang on, hold that thought. For reference, those who are listening, we went to go have our usual pizza at Mikey's Late Night Slice, and had, I don't know what, a 40-minute conversation on
trademark?
DiMarzio's double creams.
Oh yeah.
So that's why he just so
yeah, that's
glossed over
why
it
I
with
sounded
disdain right
yeah.
there. Okay,
However,
there you
I
go.
bought the guitar for a couple $100, and I bought the guitar for those pickups because people want those pickups, and they're old. They're the vintage old DiMarzio PAFs, and they're double cream, and people want them. So I thought, well, I'll just give $100. I'll have this guitar, but I'll have the pickups. I know I can get good value out of the pickups and come out way ahead. And I got this thing home. It cleaned all the dust off, took the old strings off, took the pickups out, and somebody had chopped up the base plates of these pickups to fit them into the guitar. So I'm like, oh, great. There goes the value of the pickups. But I look into this guitar, the history, and these guitars are actually, somewhat valuable if they're pretty clean and put together. So I'm pretty happy with that buy. I'm kind of excited about it now.
It's 59 burst valuable?
No. Like
Not even R9 valuable.
I would safely, if it's got the right tuners and the right pickups back into it, which are going to be impossible to find, I would safely say it'll at least fetch about $600 to $800.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really happy about it.
But it's a
about
good
19
looking guitar. Like, I mean,
It is.
that's a keeper. I saw
Yeah,
it.
it's a
And I was
nice
like,
I am
Xbox.
going to keep that.
yeah. I just told you, man, you need a hollow body or a semi.
I was
just the
thinking
other
about
day.
that when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
I said, Todd said I needed one of these, so I better get it. But it's got a stop tail, and it's a really nice stop tail. But I think I'm going to put a Bigsby on it.
I've got a Bigsby at the shop.
There I go.
You're set.
That's it. I can't wait
I
to
want
get
a
this thing
Bigsby.
done, man.
Heck.
A big
They're
jazz
handing out
box like
Bigsbys
that.
all over the place.
It's got to have a Bigsby on it, man. I can't wait to get that thing done.
Is that gonna work?
It'll work.
Oh, perfectly.
It's I've got a big jazz box
Okay.
Bigsby for you.
Yep.
All right.
USA
I'm
one.
just checking.
It's
a lot of those.
Go
A
ahead.
lot of those old harmonies had Bigsby's from the factory too.
Yeah.
So that's you need to find one of those.
Harmony.
Well,
what
they're
I'm,
just normal like Bigsby, like B7s or whatever.
Don't spend any time trying to find one of those.
Tony said he's got one. I trust him.
That's what I just backed out of what I said. That was what I was doing.
This particular guitar in this era, I think it's like an early 70s, late 60s. And
okay.
yeah, it's not a
And it's
early.
it's a
60s.
set neck too, which
It is a set neck. But what I'm finding out is they put really good parts on this thing. I mean, they had Rowe Industry de-arming pickups, and maybe I don't know what the tuners were, but it actually came with some really old gold-plated Grovers. So there's value in those as well, because people want the old-aged Grovers, to put on their Les Pauls so they could be like Jimmy Page. So I'm really happy. Really happy with the guitar. I'm pretty excited about it. And it's not a $1,000, $2,000 Gibson or Fender. It's an old Harmony. So it's nice to change gears and get something different for once.
Yeah, those are all good things.
Oh yeah.
It's nice to have a guitar that's as old or maybe even a little bit older than you too.
Yeah. Well, something I like about those kind too is yes, they sound great plugged in, but you can also just pick it up and play it, and it sounds, it makes noise,
Right. You don't have to worry about dropping it. I mean, if I ever drop it,
No, I don't
destroy
mean
it.
banging it around. I mean, like you're going to get
Acoustic tone.
acoustic tone out of
Well,
it.
of course. Yeah.
Where if you pick up any one of your slab bodies, that's not really happening.
I'll put a picture of this thing on the Guitar Knobs Facebook.
Do it.
Yes, sir.
Do it.
Right.
Okay, me.
Yeah, what's going on?
Mine's it's so petty compared to.
You're jamming me.
There's another previous reference for me. So we just saw Tom Petty. We were excited about that, and I was for the listeners out there, when I was talking to Zach, I was like, oh hey, blah blah blah, I'm going to go see Petty tonight, and he's like, I was sailing away on my Petty cloud, and he's like, oh yeah, Mike Campbell, blah blah blah, in the store, blah blah blah, and I was like.
I'm sorry.
No.
I need the horn.
I would have done that too.
Price is Right, Phil?
Yeah.
No, that pedal show, like, oh, I know Mike Campbell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we need a thing. I need to come up with a thing here.
Yeah.
So I just bought. I mentioned this in the last podcast, which will be up by the time this comes up. But I just got a Hagstrom Viking. A black Hagstrom Viking, which I'm completely in love with.
That's a nice guitar.
Oh man, I love this guitar. Anyway,
Super cool.
I got it specifically for this band. Yada yada yada. There's gold stuff happening in the band and black. And I thought for a hot minute. I talked to Tony. I said, "Well, what if I put a little gold pickguard in?" And we both shook it off before that could even finish that sentence. So instead, I've been looking for gold lame straps.
Put a mirror pickguard on it.
Well, I mean, not I don't want it shiny like glitter ball or anything
Why not?
like that. I just want it to like seatbelt shine, but gold seatbelt shine.
I'll tell you what. We come to the next weekend is the Columbus Guitar
Yes,
Show.
I'm so excited for that.
And my buddy Steve, who I share booth space with, always has I don't know where he gets them all, but he has 500 straps.
Oh, fantastic.
And he's
I'm
bound to
swinging
have
by.
something
Good.
that will
tickle
your
I just want
fancy.
a gold accent, because it needs to be able, because I'm swapping that out. I'm swapping that out for the Les Paul Special double cutaway with the glitter gold pickguard, which looks sweet.
Who
So
made that-
they
who made
need to
that
be
guard for you?
brother sister. I got. Was that all part?
Yeah,
Nah,
I don't think so.
Tony made that special for me. It looks killer. So if you need a some kind of crazy custom pickguard, call him up.
Pick Guardian.
Yeah. Okay. Plugs all around. Blah, plugs. Everybody works for somebody.
Plugs.
Okay. So let's do what is fastly becoming one of my favorite things in the world wait, don't say it. I gotta let the thing happen.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
That's all right. It's the 4 on the floor. And we got Zach gonna give us his 4 must-have pedals, even though he makes pedals.
Right. And I heard on another podcast, I got to exclude my own, so I'm not going to
Yes.
mention any of mine.
No,
So,
we will. We'll do plenty of mentioning of yours.
right, yeah.
All right, hit me.
So, number 1, and when this was plaguing me, I was thinking about these 4 pedals for since we decided to do this, so it's been on my mind. But the 4 pedals that I picked are some of my favorites and that I've not heard anybody mention yet. So number 1 is the Maxon AD999 analog delay, which, have you guys heard of this one?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I've played so many pedals and so many great delay pedals. I bring them home from work. I borrow them from friends, and I've tried so many, but this one, I don't use a tap. I don't need a lot of that. I'm a very simple guitar player, but there's something about the quality of this delay and how it reacts to your playing and stuff. It's so musical, and it's just so fun. I've had it for years, and everything I've tried to kick it off my board with just failed. So that's one of my favorites. I've got them all laid out in front of me so I can keep track.
Built like a tank too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You can't break this.
Yeah.
But
how does that compare to the carbon copy? Was it MXR carbon copy? The analog.
Well, the 8999, it's 900 milliseconds of delay, so it's got more time, and there's no modulation or anything, compared to the carbon copy, and it's there's something about just its repeat time. I don't know if it's a dotted eighth or whatever. It's different than the carbon copy, and I've had those and I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it has more delay time, and it wants to go into self oscillation really early, but you can tame it just with the repeat knob. So when you're playing, because I use the delay very subtle underneath my playing, it's not ever in the forefront. It just kind of fills up space, but you hear it starting to go in oscillation and then backing off, and it's just so cool. Because for a long time I never had a reverb pedal, and this was just the only thing I used to create space. But I love that pedal.
That's awesome. You started to describe what my old DOD would do, which was it just wanted to go in here like, here we go, oscillate,
and then it won't.
Yeah, and you just really have to. You gotta. It takes a little bit of love to get the knobs just right, but when you do, it's pretty tight.
Yeah, love that pedal.
Yeah.
So number 2. And again, I've not heard anybody mention this one or a pedal of this type. This is the full tone Deja Vibe.
Oh,
which
yes.
is the Univibe thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's actually a really good
I like that.
Yeah, and this is the old one with the actual like filament lamp. Because they make a new one with an LED, and it's not the same. But yeah, I love this pedal. Most people use the Univibe as, the Hendrix chorus thing.
Yeah.
Robin Trower, David Gilmour, whatever. And I love it for that, but I mostly use it. I crank the volume. I put the depth just where you can start to feel it, and then I put it in vibrato mode.
Yep.
And then have the speed really low. So I use it as a boost that just creates this low, like pulsing
You're
thing.
speaking my language, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll step on it for a solo and it just goes whom whom. It's so good.
Yes. I love that for just like just some character.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, just something that you can feel it and you notice it, but you don't. It's not in the forefront.
Yeah.
And because like I said, I love Hendrix and Gilmour and all those guys, but just that is so cool, and that's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I've had one of these for years, and I'm never going to sell it. So.
All right. This is good so far. I'm into it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
How often do you utilize that? I mean, how often?
Well, when I was in a like a power trio for a few years, and I would use it just like for different vibes during, no pun intended, but like during different like songs or for solos, I would just use it to kind of fill up space.
Right. Okay.
But I haven't played in a band for a long time, so all my pedals are just in the floor around me, like a child playing in Legos or something.
Well, I was honestly curious because I actually have never owned one. Now I'm a little intrigued.
They're so
been
good.
Saying I've been wanting one of actually Mike from Red House is
he working
maybe
on
or maybe not working on something. Ooh.
I thought he was talking about that. Yeah.
He has. I just don't know if he wanted me to say anything. Sorry, Mike. But
Spoiler alert.
I've already asked for
$29.95.
Add a 1 to that.
Yeah. No, but I love having just some movement, some character, that sort of like undefinable.
Right.
You said it well with your previous pedal, musicality.
Yeah,
you can't really put your finger on.
You just need a Leslie cabinet. Haul that around.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Joe Walsh had a.
Yeah.
Joe Walsh had one. Clapton has them. And
Stacks and stacks
Yeah.
of different everything up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Petty had 1 or 2 amps. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't even playing.
Right. They were
all
just
recorded.
props. Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay. Number 3 would be, and this is one that I don't think a lot of people have heard of, but it's the Tim Yarnig Gristle King, which is a signature pedal for Mr. Greg Koch, which, a lot of people know him from YouTube and whatnot. But do you guys know Greg Koch? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He does, Wildwood guitars. They do all
yeah.
the Yeah, he's gigantic, and he plays, and he's crazy good. This is his signature pedal.
I didn't put those things. I didn't put those two together, but I know Wildwood. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he used to be a Fender clinician. He works with Fishman. He does all sorts of stuff. But this was a pedal that one of his buddies designed for him, and it's essentially like a tube screamer with some switches, and then a clean boost that you can put pre and post. Mine is an old one. It's like a V1, and it's in this gigantic orange box, but it's just a really nice, because I love tube screamers. If someone was like, what's your favorite pedal, you can only have one, it'd be a tube screamer or a derivative thereof.
I'm right there with you.
They're so simple, and I know what they're going to sound like and stuff, but this pedal is just great. I've owned quite a few of them. They have a weird history because Tim made them and then T-Rex made them and now he's making them again. But these old ones they're all perf board inside. Oh wait, no. This one is a dual-sided PCB that he etches himself. A two-sided piece. Yeah, it's like crazy, but it's great. So I love that pedal. If you've never seen the Gristle King, check it out. It's great. Gristle King. Yeah, Greg Koch is all about the gristle. That's like his shtick thing.
Gotcha.
But super cool.
Awesome.
And then number 4 is kind of another 2-in-1 thing. The Paul Cochran Tim.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people have heard of this one. I have an old one that I've had for some time, and it's like one of the very first era of the Tim. But just again, a really good overdrive that is transparent. Everyone says that, but this one really is really transparent, and it has the boost and it has an effects loop for the boost. So if you want like a reverb or a delay or whatever, a flanger, when you kick the boost on for a solo, you can have that only engages when the boost is on, and that's super neat idea. But yeah, I love the Tim, and I could do almost anything, any gig with those pedals in the right amp.
Totally agreed. That's I would take that board in a second. You threw out a word associated with overdrives that I think we say a lot for various reasons, but would you give your interpretation on transparent overdrive?
Yeah, and a lot of people use it. That has to be one of the biggest keywords that people are searching on Google. Transparent overdrive.
Yeah.
For me, transparency means it doesn't take away anything. Like a tube screamer takes away bass and adds mids. But a real transparent overdrive, it may give you a little shift in something, but you don't notice a drop in bass. You don't notice this huge jump in treble. It's just like it's on, but it's just more. And I think like the Klon's a good example of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clean boosters. They're the only thing to me, like a pure clean, like JFET kind of booster, are some of the only pedals that are truly, truly, truly transparent. But a lot of pedals, you kick them on, and it's just like your amp just goes up a little bit more. And I think, I don't think it's a dirty word, but it definitely is something that.
I don't think so either. I think that is it. When we have people on and they say that, the first thing you do is disclaim.
Right.
It's like, I know, but it really, just like exactly how you said it. And for whatever reason, I don't know who is influencing us to say that, but it is an obvious quality that we have all identified. So I think we should just all be okay with saying that.
Yeah, totally.
I think there might be a pedal in our very, very near future, like in a couple minutes, that we might talk about that has exactly that quality. To me, while we're on this topic, just really quick, to me, and I'd love to hear Tony and Jared's input on this, but to me, when I'm explaining that to somebody, I equate it to a 50-50 wet dry. No matter what you're doing on, with the knobs, you almost always maintain a 50% wet or affected dry, and then 50% dry. This is what my amp sounds like without the pedal.
Right.
That's how I equate it, and it's not based on anything. That's just how I interpret it.
Yeah, the character doesn't go away.
Right.
Whatever you had.
Right.
It just makes it sound better, or maybe is more, maybe a little more interactive with the player or something. I mean, I noticed that, like we were talking, I think last week or so, about that EP booster that I picked up, and the same thing. I mean, I plug that into the Vox, and it feeds really nicely, and it improves the sound of that amp, and usually, especially with single coil pickups, the overall tonality, I guess.
Right.
It wakes it up. Man.
Yeah, it's
That's a good way of putting it. It wakes it
Just
up.
wakes it up.
because not everybody has at their disposal a Marshall double stack or twin
Right.
reverb
Or a
or
blues
something like
breaker.
that, or a blues JTM 45 blues breaker, or a Vox TC or TB 30 top boost 6 input.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways.
I'm making Todd's head spin right now.
Yeah. All right.
But no, and I would think, I think it's not a fair term calling something a transparent overdrive. I think.
Why don't you think that's fair?
I just don't think that it should be really used, because no matter what the pedal is, you're always coloring something. A true.
Well,
I don't know how to quite put it.
If you think about it, like if you think about transparency, it's like your sunglasses, right? Mm-hmm. You can still see your eyes behind sunglasses. There's just a tint in front of it. It's just it's not like a blackout, right? It's not like, oh, now you're only seeing the sunglasses.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right, I won't.
It's like a photo gel or something.
Forget I even said that.
It's like Jell-O.
That's a really good.
But no,
analogy for it.
I think so.
Thank you.
It should be an improvement under certain.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Tony?
Well, let me tell you, Zach.
All right, enough of this nonsense. Okay, so thank you.
Those are some excellent choices.
I can't wait to get that up on the blog. And for those who are not familiar with it, for whatever reason, you can go to theguitarknobs.com and look under the blog section, or hopefully you have our connected socials, and that post will be coming out. And it says 4 on the floor, and there's a lot of big giant pictures and information on how to get said pedals too. Okay, so what are we really here for?
We're going to talk about
Besides
Zach.
Tony's beers.
Oh,
Yeah, let's talk about Zach real quick. So just a little bit of preface, as per usual. We ran across him, and I started to see an awful lot, especially, where I'm looking around, and, it was post after post, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? And you have, I think pedals are a little bit like, I mentioned this several times, but pedals are a little bit like, wine bottles or beer bottles or whatever. It's like, you kind of don't know what's in them, but if it looks right to you, you're at bare minimum intrigued.
right.
And I think you did a really good job of capturing people's attention in your presentation of these pedals.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So Zach sent us out a box of pedals, and let's explain what we have here, fellas. Tony, what do you got in front of you?
I am looking at a golden fleece.
Yes.
Fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared, what do you have?
I have the word that I can't say.
Mueller.
Mueller. Mjolnir.
Ferris Mueller's
Yeah.
Day
Is that-
Out.
Mueller.
Is that
Mjolnir.
Jesus?
Mjolnir.
Is that the guy there, or is that Jesus?
No, I get asked that.
What?
So wait, that is Zeus. That is
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Jesus.
Yeah.
Zeus.
Okay.
Well, there's like, I don't know, like bright marks around
well,
his head.
it's
I love
Mythos.
them.
Let me help you out here, Jared.
It's Mythos.
It's Mythos pedals. So actually, let's let Zach help you out.
I love the way this
Okay,
looks.
go ahead, Zach.
With the name
Yeah.
for the pedal, is that what you're asking?
I didn't say it.
For Mythos.
He has absolutely no idea
yeah,
what
sorry.
it is.
Mjolnir.
Mythos pedals.
Mjolnir.
Mythos pedals. So you're the icon that you are using.
Yeah, is Zeus.
Is Zeus.
Trying to, and not all my pedals are based on Greek mythology, obviously, but yeah, that was just like, the idea is like mythos, it's Greek for myth, and then why not have Zeus on it? So yeah.
Yeah. Little book knowledge for Jared over here.
This was my favorite one, by the way, too.
Yeah. What else do we have in front of you?
Well, do you want to say it?
Give me that thing.
All right. I'll screw it up again.
No, just say that one like it sounds.
Yeah.
Like it looks.
The Earl King.
Earl King. Yeah.
What does it look like, Todd?
It looks like Zeus because I know that it's Mythos Pedals.
I thought that was Apollo.
Yeah. And it's a purple sparkle with white silk screen. It looks pretty cool, and I love transparent knobs. I think those are wicked.
And that was my favorite pedal of the three.
Yeah?
I
awesome.
like the bass boost on it.
Well, you guys can all take off because that Golden Fleece was a bomb.
You know,
I already told Zach, I'm like, okay, I'm buying one.
the purple one was awesome too. It has a lot of control on it. A lot of tone
So
control.
let's talk about these as though all the rest of the people that are listening to this don't have them sitting on the table in front of them.
Right.
So okay, Zach, you started this pedal company when?
I started Mythos about 2007.
Uh-huh.
So, or no, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it one of those things where you just decided you were going to do it? Had you been dabbling? Get us into how you got into this.
I, like so many people, bought Brian Wappler's How to Modify Guitar Pedals book. I guess I got that about 2007 or 8 or so, and got in because I'd always, putzed around with electronics, but I was used to soldering because I would change pickups and guitars and stuff, but got into pedal modding because like around that time, that's when, Brian, he had his indie guitarist thing, and Keeley was a really big deal, and Analog Man and stuff. So I was like, I know how to solder. I can do that. So I bought the book and then kind of dove in that way. And, modding led to building, and Mythos kind of began just as something I did for fun, where a friend would say, hey, I want this. And like, I'll make one. And then, hey, I want to make one of these for myself. So I'll make 2 and I'll sell the other one to fund that. So it kind of started that way, but it really, it hasn't really picked up a lot of steam until the past few years because it was something I just did for fun on the side, just really, in my spare time. But over the past few years, have really tried to grow it into an actual, not a huge company and not something where I can quit all my other jobs, but something where I can do this and, have fun and make a little cash, spreading my pedal love everywhere.
Right.
What was the first, I guess what call it production pedal that you made? Well,
really the first one that I made into something where it was all like proprietary stuff was the Mjolnir. And then all the other ones have kind of, trickled along behind that. They were all ideas. Well, some of them were ideas that I'd had, and I'd made stuff where it'd be like, something like that or something, based on one thing or the other. But the Mjolnir was the one that I have made the longest and is totally, just the one that helped me start doing this.
Right.
It's the bread and butter.
Yeah.
And the Mjolnir, for those who are like, okay, wait, what? That is spelled MJOLNIR. And
that's right.
It's in a like a gold dust box. It's super cool, classic looking. And that is we talked about what was in front of us, and then we got all greedy and said, oh, I like this one. So just let me just tap into that one more time. The Golden Fleece is a fuzz. It's a single knob fuzz, correct?
Right. Yeah. It's a really simple single transistor circuit that has kind of hand-picked clipping diodes that create this fuzz that kind of skirts the line between fuzz and overdrive. Like it all lives in your guitar. Like the knob on it is just volume, but all the controls are really your volume and tone controls and your pickup selector on your guitar.
Right. And then the Mjolnir?
That is based off a Klon Centaur. Different clipping diodes, some other little, tweaks inside it, but I've really tried to make it consistent and quiet as far as the noise goes, and just the best of that circuit that I can do without saying, because it doesn't sound like a real Klon. Very few clones do, but it just has this really powerful, clean 2 overdrive sound that works well in both, where some clones work well as a boost or as an overdrive and not vice versa.
Right. And then the Earl King.
So the Earl King, that's based off the old Noble's ODR1. That pedal just had a tone control, which they called Spectrum. So it has a bass control that you can dial out some of the woofiness. If you turn the bass knob all the way up, it's a stock ODR1 sound, kind of. But as you dial it back, you can really, tune it to whatever kind of pickup.
So it's an EQ'd overdrive.
Yeah, with that, it's not like crazy. It doesn't have like an active tone stack or anything. It's just it's just a simple bass knob, and then the tone knob is pretty standard. But I really tweaked the clipping so that it had the volume and the crunch and everything that the ODR1 didn't have,
right,
in a way. So, but that's like the Nashville pedal, the ODR1. It's like part of that Nashville sound. And if you put that on and put it into a Fender and play some country licks, it is totally like the Nashville vibe right now. Anyway.
Gotcha. Well, you made a very important distinction, and to be completely transparent, I did not pick that up because on your pedal it says B and T, and I took that as bass and treble. But you just explained that as like a bass and a tone. Yeah,
bass, the tone, and it's a pretty unique tone circuit in that Nobles, but it's
which would explain why I wasn't getting a standard sort of bass and treble sound out of it, which made me play with it more.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so anyways, back to you, pedals, whatever. You are clearly immersed in guitar. And I imagine you started out pretty early. Can you give us a little bit of background on how that all came about?
Yeah, well, I was the only person in my family to really chase music. My sister played piano, and we were both in the band and stuff. But I started playing guitar when I was like 15, and
it's a magic number.
That's right. And have kind of chased that over the years, but never really pursued it as my main gig. I have a weird handicap with my left hand. I can only turn my left hand halfway over. Like, it looks like I'm going to shake your hand, and that's as far as my left hand really turns. So playing guitar is it's not impossible for me, but I play very unique. I use my thumb a lot to play chords, and I get by okay. Most people, when they hear me play, they don't even notice. But if you look at my hand, and if you go to any of my YouTube videos and see me holding a guitar, it looks weird. So I kind of have this weird handicap, but I love playing guitar, and that's kind of where it all started.
Well, what I love is that for as long as this podcast is up, every time you say that, somewhere in the world, somebody is going to take their left hand and try to figure out what you just said.
Right.
Because the three of us just did that.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, like this?
Like if you hold out your left hand like you're going to shake someone's hand, that's pretty much as far, a little bit further than that as my left hand will turn over.
I was thinking like how Jimmy would do on, sometimes when he'd get real thummy.
Yeah.
On his E.
I'll use my thumb on my E and A string sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you. So, who would you say was your most influential artist, and what kind of guitar did you end up having for your first guitar? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I started the song that made me want to learn how to play guitar was the live version of Crossroads from Cream.
Oh wow!
So I wanted to play like Eric Clapton, and that was kind of the vibe I wanted to get. My first guitar was this really kind of inexpensive PV Raptor. And a funny story, my dad took me to buy a guitar right before my 15th birthday, and he took me to a shop that he knew the owners. He didn't play, but he did their insurance. So we went there. They said, yeah, this is cool. We have a cool guitar in the back. And they brought out this late 60s big headstock Strat. And sat it in my lap, and I was the kind of kid that felt bad asking for presents, and so my dad was like, oh, this is way cooler, let's get you this, and I was like, nah.
Oh no.
So it was probably like a 68, 69 Strat.
Whoops.
That I totally, was like, no, Dad, it's too much money.
Wow.
But yeah,
I'll take the PV.
I'll take the PV, Dad.
Now was the PV? Was that an American-made model?
It's all American.
No, it was an import. It was an import one.
This is when they stopped that and they started in with the new models.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the one that looks like a super like squish Strat. It still kind of looks like a Strat. But yeah, and it's I still got it. I don't play it. It's at home, but just a weird guitar. But yeah, like my favorite players are Clapton, and then of course Billy Gibbons was a big deal, and then
Nice.
That sort of thing, Stevie Ray Vaughan and stuff. It's throw any classic rock guitar players into a pot, and those are probably my influences. But those tastes have changed. But early on, I wanted to play like Eric Clapton.
Yes. That's actually, I think that's pretty rare for a kid, to be honest.
I've never heard the Clapton before in this podcast.
No.
Nobody's ever said
really?
Clapton.
No.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, yeah. I mean, that was a big deal for me. And then taking lessons because my hand, my guitar teacher was like, he turned me on to Django Reinhardt.
Oh
because, his hand was all burned and stuff. And then Tony Iommi, because I'd listened to Sabbath, but I didn't know about his handicap. And so those kind of, because it was a little disheartening because I can't play really fast and I can't do so many things. I can't play bar chords really like traditionally, but being able to say, okay, this guy had 2 fingers and he could play 30-second notes. If he can do it, I can figure out some way to do it. So that was a big deal for me too when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, it's weird. There's actually a couple people. I mean, obviously Tony is one of the super famous ones. Well, I mean Jerry Garcia is missing fingers. Like there's a lot of
fingers.
There's a lot of missing fingers dudes out there.
Well, and then there's Les Paul. They got his hand smashed.
Yeah.
Right.
They had it set in a chord pattern.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's
pretty punk rock.
That's dedication to your art. Just set it like a chord.
I want the C chord.
Yeah. Cool. That's a good start. I mean, you do you still sort of chase the Clapton thing?
Well, yeah, I love old Clapton, Cream era, but recently I'm really into old ZZ Top, like the first couple records, not Eliminator and stuff, but like, that sound in Billy's style. And then Paul Kossoff, I really got into him the past few years. Like he was such a unique player and really kind of chased that vibe. But I'm into all sorts of things. I listen to all that classic blues rock, but then I also listen to a lot of like indie rock and love that kind of staccato, altogether kind of crappy but cool guitar playing, and I like
me.
a little bit of everything.
Cool, man. I'm curious. The pedal game right now is, I think, sort of favors the latter of what you were talking about, just as far as like experimental, indie, whatever the words are, all the genres you want to dump into that.
Right.
That certainly seems to align with pedal building du jour. You are in the heart of where I think a more maybe classic approach to music, to rock and roll specifically, still has a big heartbeat.
Right.
I'm curious if how much of that is affecting the kind of pedals that you're trying to make, or how much you are stepping outside of that to create your pedals.
When I started doing this, my whole idea was to make classic sounds the best way that I knew how to do it. So there's so many people making weird, things, and they're doing it so much better than me because I have I have a degree in psychology. Like I don't have any sort of electrical engineering thing. Everything I've learned is basically self-taught, and then help from other people, circuit board designers and people that I've kind of pulled in around me to help create, my own sound essentially. But I'm not really into that. My pedals, I just want to have, like, if you want, to take your amp to that next level, or if you want an affordable version of a circuit that, you know, most people could never, you know, find or get, like I want to do that. And then in the future, I'm wanting to kind of do a little bit more of like a snapshot of a player's sound in a way that a lot of people haven't done, and, you know, trying to keep it simple, low part count, analog. And I have a different philosophy. Like I was listening to some of the other podcasts about like top mount jacks and soft switches and all that stuff. And like that's all well and good, but I don't like mechanical parts attached to a circuit board, because if they break, they're really hard to fix.
They'll go bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not a big fan of like the soft touch. I don't know why. I some of the first pedals I ever had were like original big muffs and stuff, where there's like in a Rat, you know, it's like this really serious, you know, clack when you stepped on it. And I like that. And, you know, again,
I love a Rat.
Yes. I've played a lot of like newer pedals that have that thing, and they fail because the relays mess up or whatever. And I just want to keep it simple, like as simple as possible, even if it's more work, because I have to put some wires on a circuit board.
Yeah.
Like I like having Switchcraft open frame jacks. You know, I like having a good, you know, foot switch that is mechanical and doesn't have a loud pop and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if there's a little pop, if you're playing rock and roll, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
but yeah, that. But yeah, I don't know. I have a little bit of a different approach, a little bit more old school in a way. And I think there's still a lot of people doing that. And people have, the owners of Carter Vintage asked me, like, there's so many people doing this. How do you plan to stay ahead? And I'm like, you know, Fulltone's been making the OCD for how long now? Like, Analog Man has been making the Sunface for how long now? Like, I just want to have a pedal that people, when they think of me, that think of something great that they can still get. And it's not, you know, it doesn't have to be cutting edge or whatever. It's just good.
There's room for all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that is something that I appreciate about it. I mean, even to the point, I think it's interesting when you're holding pedals and you got your hands on them and you're involved with them. When you encounter something different, like if you close your eyes, I was trying not to have Ozzy go into my head there. Sorry. Close my eyes. Anyways, that's so terrible. I can't believe my brain just did that. Damn you, brain. So if you close your eyes and you go like, yep, okay, I got that pedal. It feels like, okay, this one, yep, that feels familiar. And I picked yours up and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a dang minute.
Right.
Smaller cases.
Right.
I like it. Not totally MXR, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
You can tell they're higher quality. The potentiometers, which are the knobs. When you
wait, I'm talking about cases. You just hold on with your potentiometers. Just hold it. Keep doing that.
In the Switchcraft.
Yeah,
I am all for that high quality
cases.
Stuff.
Yeah,
Jared. Cases.
That's all I had to say.
So what size box are you using there?
Those are 1590B.
1590B.
So
I like that.
Yeah, the kind of the Dynacomp size.
Yeah. There you go. What you just kind of explained, this makes a lot of sense now. Just even the presentation, you've clearly carefully checked all the boxes with, you've got relatively simple graphics. You've got sort of classic style knobs. You've got slightly smaller boxes. You're focusing on, overdrive circuitry for the most part, just trying to make those really solid. So I certainly appreciated that aspect of these pedals. Also, what we don't have in front of us is and now you're going to have to pronounce this one too, Mr. Smarty Pants, with your pronunciation. Overdrive, based on the Bluesbreaker circuit.
Yeah, that's the Daedalus.
The Daedalus.
Daedalus, father of Icarus.
Who flew too close to the sun.
Yes.
That's right. Well, Daedalus didn't. He was low and was like, get down here, stupid. But yeah, so that one, it's the Bluesbreaker style circuit, but it has like a gain recovery stage. Because if you've ever played those old black Bluesbreaker pedals, they're not very loud. They can't really drive an amp with just sheer volume.
Right.
So added some just output. I there's a little presence control inside. And one thing really cool about it, when I was prototyping this and just like changing all the parts, you socket everything. For whatever reason, the combination of the chip and then the clipping diodes that are in this pedal, if you turn the gain, I'm sorry you don't have one, but if you turn the gain all the way up, it kind of turns into this sputtery fuzz, and it sounds like
you got my attention.
Yeah, because it's like, clean boost, relatively flat EQ spectrum, and then a little bit of gain, quite a bit of crunch, and then it turns into this sputtery fuzz that sounds like, a small British combo that's about to die.
Yeah.
And it's really fun because it's almost gated in a way, but it totally happened by accident. And it sounds great.
That's killer.
That could be one of your new band names, Todd.
What?
Sputtery Fuzz.
Sputtery Fuzz.
I thought it was going to be totally happened by accident. That's a good band name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably more true than you know.
Yeah, it is. You know what's funny is actually at the bottom at the bottom of our website, one of my favorite quotes of all time is like Eddie Van Halen. It says, for me, playing guitar is like falling down a flight of stairs and landing on my feet. Which sounds like that's kind of what happened right here. Yeah, that sounds really, really awesome. I mean, so let's clarify real quick, because I think we mentioned the Blues Breaker amp earlier.
Ah, yes.
This is a Blues Breaker pedal.
Yeah,
which are quite expensive.
$200 to $300 usually.
Yeah. Around there, I was thinking of the Governor as well with that.
Yeah, same era. Shredmaster, Governor, Bluesbreaker.
Yeah, and that one is spelled very strangely. For those who you are going to go try to find it by saying the Daedalus, I don't know if that's going to come up in the search engine. It is the D with the attached A and E together joined, and then DALUS overdrive. It's blue and it has a maze pattern on there. Not corn.
Daedalus, he designed the maze that had the Minotaur at the center. Like that was another thing that he did in mythology. So the maze is like an homage to that story.
Holy mackerel. Dude, this is like a history lesson.
Yeah, it's more than just pedals.
Fantastic.
It sounds like you're almost
I learned
talking.
something too.
Yeah, it sounds like you're almost talking about Kansas, the band. A lot of their songs have all that mythical,
Yeah.
To the point of no return.
Yeah.
That's right.
First and last ever mention of Kansas on this podcast.
Probably not.
Anyways.
Probably not. It's not dust in the wind.
Hey, we're all just dust in the wind.
Right.
There we go. Okay.
Everything is just dust in the wind.
All right. So,
Sorry,
anyways,
carry
enough
on,
of
my
that.
wayward son.
Yes. Oh, dang. That one. Okay, that was good. You got that one. I'll give you that. Was real good.
Don't you cry no more.
Okay. So the next one that you have for offering is based on the 808 circuit. You want to tell us about that?
Right. So that's the Herculean. It is kind of my take on an 808. Yeah, which everybody does. It's nothing new, but it has a clipping switch, asymmetrical, which is that's what the Boss SD1 has, not symmetrical. It's it's 3 diodes, open, and then LED, which is very loud open clipping that just compresses a little bit. Then it has a fat switch, so you can have the normal amount of bass cut that a tube screamer has, or beef it up a little bit or beef it up a lot. And it is just a really thick overdrive that has the mid hump thing. It's a little bit reduced. I mean, it's not a straight up everything is just like a normal 808. Like I did, because I've modded so many 808s, I have all these things in my head about what I do to make an 808 a little bit better, just a tiny push in a direction. And that's what I kind of threw into this. So you can do that classic Stevie kind of thing, or you can kind of crank it and it gets a really thick lead sound that is not too dissimilar from like what a lot of people are calling a dumble in a box pedal. Yeah. But I wouldn't call it that. But so many people say, this is a dumble in a box. Then you look at the circuit and you're like, this is a tube screamer. But we won't name names. But that's kind of where that pedal's at. And for a long time, like I wasn't going to make one because I made a few, and then I'm like, I don't need to make a tube screamer. You go buy a tube screamer. But so many people ask me, so it's just like it's just become something that I make.
It gives you options. And
Right.
and that's one thing that you clearly offered. You're like, well, if I'm going to do it, it's going to have some options here.
Right.
You mentioned Dumble in a box, and I think that there is a certain amount of people that when you say Dumble, you know what that is, and there's a greater amount of people that when you say Dumble, you don't know what it is. So,
right.
Would you mind just elaborating on the Dumble and how it relates to Dumble in a box?
Well, I'm a lucky guy working at
Here
Carter
we go.
Vintage. Yeah, honk. I've played 5 or 6 Dumbles. I have some friends here in town that I have a friend that has one, and so I've played quite a few. So I have a firm grasp on what that sound is, and I've played some that I liked, and I've played some that I did not like, because those amps. Made by Howard or Alexander Dumble, whatever he chose to go by, they began as like modded Fenders that he would build and mod specifically to a player. So they're all different.
Yeah.
But the Dumble sound that most people think of when they think of a pedal is the Dumble Overdrive Special, which is this really thick, syrupy lead tone a la Robin Ford, some of Larry Carlton's stuff, that sort of sound. And it's just an incredibly thick singing sound that sustains beautifully and is super interactive with your playing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to put into words. It's one of those things, it's like you'll hear it and you say, oh, that sounds like a Dumble. But it's pretty aggressive. It's got a lot of like thick bass, low mids and mids. It's not super bright that what most people would think of, but it's a very specific kind of overdriven sound.
Right.
That's different from like a Vox sound or a Marshall sound or even like a cranked like Tweed sound. It's totally its own thing.
There's that indescribable sort of, there's a thing happening that I can't put my finger on it, but
right.
Man, I really like it.
It's a super, even though I said it, it's not very bright, it's a super clear sound, mm-hmm. and it's very honest. Like whatever goes in comes out, and at least on the amps,
Yeah.
But it is, it's a very dynamic and expressive sound that lends itself to being a very thick, pretty hairy, distorted tone. And in my opinion, it's more distortion than just like a light overdrive. Most people, when you think of Dumble, you're thinking of a thick, Santana.
Yeah.
He had that kind of sound. But yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've played a few pedals that kind of nail it really well, and then I've played some that I'm like, I don't get it. It sounds great, but it doesn't sound like that to me.
Do you think the Herculean is approaching that? Is that where you're going for?
No, I wasn't going for that, but it does have like a really nice pushed mid-range sound that if you dial the tone back, it's it's a thick, darkish kind of tone that with a 335 or something, it kind of gives you that. But that totally a happy accident. It's not something that I was thinking. I was thinking, let's make a tube screamer.
Sure. Well, okay. Well, we'll take it whatever it's called, or whatever you try to. I mean. That makes me want to get it. So you're doing a good job of selling it.
Oh, thank you.
So okay, so right now you've got 5 pedals out. You're smoking the scene right now. You I think some big things have happened recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So I connected with my buddy Joey Landreth. If you guys have never heard of Joey Landreth or the Brothers Landreth, just give them a Google and find some YouTube videos and watch him play, watch the band. They're amazing. He has really helped. And then I also connected with Rob Chapman, which I'm a huge YouTube
Chappers.
fan. Chappers. Rob Chappers from, Andertons and stuff. But both those guys have been huge for me. And in the past year, they've really helped drive a lot of stuff. So I got linked up with the Andertons in the UK earlier this year, and that was like, I'm one dude. My wife helps me, populate circuit boards and put, switches in the boxes and stuff. But it's just us in a 2-bedroom apartment making these.
Yeah.
And to get an email from Lee Anderton, hey, I want to have your pedals in the store. It's like, what?
That's awesome.
It's super exciting, and this year has just, it went from like, okay, this is fun to like, hey, I might be able to actually like do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andertons, we linked up.
So they're now stocking your pedals.
They stock them. And they recently just did a demo video with Danish Pete and Mick Taylor from that pedal show on the Andertons channel. So if you want to hear them, you can go there, and it's a really good recording.
Hello.
I have demos, but hello. But yeah, so it's been crazy, like really crazy this year.
That's great. Are they stocking your full all 5 or?
Yeah, they have everything. They sell out every now and again, and I think Lee is just kind of cherry picking what sells, because some things do and some things don't. But for the most part, they have most everything, and they just ordered a bunch of Golden Fleece after the video dropped. So if you're in the UK and you want to try one, that's the place to do it.
Yeah. Well, one of these somewhere in the world's got my name on it, so I got to find that one.
I'll make you one. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
We'll make more.
Yeah. You've got like a perfect hand here right now as far as like 5-card draw. You're money right now. So like where are you going here?
Well, like I said, as far as like the people making all the wacky stuff, I don't really want to chase that. I don't really want to chase a lot of the delays and the reverb things, because so many people are doing that and they're doing it really well. Mm-hmm. So my ideas kind of lie in giving you almost a Polaroid of a sound that most people aren't trying to do. So in the future, it's going to be more pedals that are kind of like snapshots of classic albums or classic players or classic tones that a lot of people may want. And right. Instead of like trying to get this amp and this, that, and this, like you just click on the pedal. So I'm working on, and I've shared this on Instagram. I think my next pedal is going to be called La Chupacabra, and it's going to be, yeah. And it is like a capturing of Billy Gibbons' early guitar tone.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
And the circuit that I'm playing with is the input stage of like a Tweed Deluxe going into a modded Golden Fleece that has way lower gain and clipping that reacts more like an amp. So, and this is going to be a 3-knob pedal. It's going to have volume, tone, and gain. But the prototype I have, if you are playing with a loud amp and you click this on, it just sounds like, Brown Sugar off, ZZ Top's first album and all this stuff, where it's like, it's hairy, but it's smooth. And if you, dig in, especially the humbuckers, it just has that bite. So
Chupacabra. Okay, so
La Chupacabra.
La Chupacabra. El Chupacabra?
I think it's La.
La?
I don't know. I'll have to ask some Spanish speaking friends.
However that comes out, it sounds pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I've prototyped it, and I'm going to get more into that. And I think, I don't know, that is a sound that if you Google like ZZ Top in a box, there's certain pedals, but it's always like Eliminator and like the later stuff. I want that early sound, which is, no one knows what he used. He said different things. Yeah. So there's no like, it's not a Marshall. It's not, or it may be a Marshall. It may be like a brown face Fender amp. It may be all sorts of things, but I want that in a pedal because no one's doing that. Yeah. And so those are the things I want to like focus on, like things that are fun and not many other people are doing. And I may make some clones too, but I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. But really, with the 5 I've got, I'm busy. So
yeah, that sounds awesome, man. When you were talking about that, chasing that Billy Gibbons thing, all I could think about was a similar experience of you don't know exactly what it is, and you're trying to find it, and it grows mythically in your mind because you can't find it. Right. Mick Mars is, famous for using all kinds of different amps all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so replicating his sound, especially if you're trying to do it in your bedroom and you don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything, it'll wreck your mind.
Right. Yeah.
but that's part of the joy of chasing those kind of things too. Is like, oh wait, I think I got it. No, that's not it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge and, you know, this experience that you're going through right now with us. It's pretty cool. It's so exciting watching someone who, you know, finds something they're like, hey, I this is something that I like. It makes me happy. I'm pretty okay at doing, and I think people like it. And then explosion. You know, that's great.
Yes. Yeah. It's been, you know, pretty crazy, and it's definitely taken over a huge part of my life. You know, you get up, you build pedals, you go to work, you come home, you build pedals, but it's worth it, and it's super fun.
Well, you got a great product,
and that's
man.
the most important thing.
Yeah, great stuff here. Okay, so let's get on with our next feature.
Would you rather?
Wow.
What happened to your,
that was angry, Jared.
Smooth Daddy Jared?
I had to change it up.
Already?
like it.
You just started.
Let's do another one.
Okay.
Would you rather?
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
that's pretty close.
Same as it ever was.
Yeah.
Okay. See how boring that was?
Yeah, I know. It's fine.
Do the first one again.
Would you rather?
Okay. Yeah, you are angry. All right. So this one is set up for us by Zach. So, Zach, why don't you reset that up for us?
All right. Would you rather have a gold top Les Paul with P90s or a gold top Les Paul with PAF style humbuckers?
Okay. Jared, go.
Ooh.
Tony, go.
Well, if they're actual PAFs, I'll take those because I take them out and put in some of Jared's pickups.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But no, truth be told, I'm a big P90 fan.
Yeah.
I'd probably opt for that, especially if it had a wraparound bridge tailpiece.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Jared?
I did honestly need a second to think about that. Tony brought up a good point. Now, since it's the gold top, I would opt for the P90s. Nothing beats a good P90, and the P90s Gibson wound back in the day were fantastic pickups. And the only problem with those is to have that single high cycle hum, but you can get around that. And personally, I don't care about that. I'm gonna go with the P90s on this one. I'll have PAFs in a burst.
And those are creams?
Well, it would have to be cream on a gold top.
Well,
That's right.
Hey, it can be. We didn't decide that.
Which color cream? Old
gosh.
Gibson
Okay,
cream or
Zach,
new
what are
Gibson
you doing?
cream?
Right, the pink puke cream.
Okay.
I humbuckers. I love P90s, and they're super fun to play, but I just like humbuckers. Like they're, I don't know, the cut of like a good PAF style thing. It has like this. It's like a telly on steroids with no noise, and I just love a good humbucker. So that any day of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna maybe because I have a lot of humbucker guitars. I'm going P90. I've got fewer P90s, but I love the gold top, and I would go P90, no pick guard.
Oh! Now no pick guard
Mixing it up.
with nice heavy crazing on the clear finish would look really cool.
Yeah.
Well, the stuff that's turning green, that would be the.
I think that's
ultimate
funny how
it flakes off.
Three out of four of us picked the P90s and not the most sought after, valuable pickups ever.
Yeah.
But hey, P90's a great sounding pickup as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure is. Hey, I think we're done.
Yep.
I think we're about baked. So, Zach, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to do this. Continued success on your pedals. And for those out there who are interested, tell them where they can go to get said pedals.
You can go to mythospedals.com or any of the dealers, but check the website, and that's where I live.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to be at Summer NAMM, booth 859. It's a shared booth, the Boutique Guitar Effects pedal booth, but I'm going to be there with all my stuff. Try to be there as much as I can, meet everybody that wants to come by and say hi.
Cool. And what are the dates on that one more time?
That's July 13th through the 15th.
Holy mackerel, that's coming up real quick. So this will be
Yep.
coming out right before then.
Cool.
Yes, we'll make sure that happens.
Awesome.
Cool. I guess, really, that's just kind of it. Subscribe!
Yeah.
Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Mjolnir.
Okay. Yeah.
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir. There's a whole lot of Mjolnir out there.
Mjolnir.
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 Ooh. Mjolnir.
No. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs to help keep this podcast ad-free and ensure that we keep bringing you the best show we can. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.